I want to kind of show everyone, the other day I got a fortune from Hibachi, which is this Chinese restaurant, you can eat buffet that I normally go to. And I got this fortune. It says, your fondest dream will come true within this year. I'm holding to it. So, here it is right here, if you can read it better. I'm going to hold it to it, so... Will this year be the year that I finally get to where I want to be? Who knows at this rate. Anyway though guys, thank you so much for watching this vlog video. I wanted to give you a quick little update in regards of what's going to happen within the next 2 to probably 3 weeks, depending on how things go. So to quickly follow up, let me just go ahead and say this right now. Within this coming week, I may change a few things depending on how I go about this, and the following next 2 weeks will also probably change as well, depending on how we go from here on out. But I wanted to go ahead and kind of quickly throw this in to where you'll be ahead of the game as to what's happening. I will also be mentioning this on Twitter, which I highly recommend that you follow me on Twitter. I will be posting different notes and stuff to let you guys know whether or not I'm streaming or not, give you a little bit of update here and there, and some random stuff that I may put up from time to time. It's not enough to where I would do a video on, but it's enough to where it's like, hey, here's what I'm thinking of right now and stuff like that. I need to try to do better on social media. It's something that I don't normally do a lot of, and mostly because it's like I don't know what else to do with social media other than just talk about random stuff. I'm not political. I'm not really as toxic as some people are, because apparently that's the thing that people would do in order to get attention on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. But I'm not like that. If I do talk about anything, it's mostly to talk about, hey, here's an interesting thing that happened on the internet. Here's what I like the most and stuff like that. And it's like, what else could I say? I can't be more specific. What else could I say? You know, I'm not toxic, and I don't really care much for politics, so there you go. If there was a way that I could block all of that on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, I would do it, but it's not necessarily possible, per se, anyway. But with that being said, at least do try to follow me on Twitter to where you'll be in the know as to when I'm streaming, and to find out any other smaller tidbits here and there. However though, I want to go ahead and kind of throw this in to let you guys know what's going to happen. So, as of the timing of this recording, next week I will be at a dentist appointment, which means by the time this video gets released, the 23rd of this month, I will be going to get one of my teeth pulled, which is this very back one right here. If you remember, I did a video talking about how I went to the dentist in order to get this pulled, and my experience of it wasn't too bad actually. If nothing else, it was actually fairly positive response in my personal opinion. I actually enjoy it because of the fact that, you know, this was a cracked tooth and I wanted it pulled, and now that it's been pulled out, I've actually been able to normally eat on this side, and I'm very happy that I actually did that, because that gives me a little bit of ease that I can finally normally do and not have to worry about pain anymore. So that's a very good thing. So in other words, I'm just one tooth away from finally eating normal in some extent. Now, technically it was like about 2 weeks before I could eat normal on this side, and I did it by accident. You know, I was chewing on a steak, and I accidentally had it on this side, and then I was like, oh wait, what am I doing? Of course I can eat on that side. The tooth is no longer there. And I was eating it, and it felt so relaxing just to be able to eat on that side and not have to worry about any instant pain of having food lodge into that cracked tooth and causing intense pain, eventually causing a headache, and eventually causing me to not want to do anything else for the rest of the day. That's what happens. So this one is the final tooth to get pulled, and I'm just excited to finally get that out of the way. So to let you guys know, here we go again, fixing to lose my voice for some reason. But my plan is to obviously not stream for the 23rd or the 24th while this is healing up. I don't know if I will be streaming on the 25th. You know, it all depends on how this heals up and stuff, because this one healed up pretty well. So I'm hoping this one will do the same as well. So long as I do the same stuff that I did, within a couple of days I can go back to streaming normally. So in other words, on the 26th, I think I might go back to streaming again. I don't know. We'll see what happens. If nothing else, the 21st is when I'll be back to streaming. But for the time being right now, just don't hold any promises towards the 26th of this month. And instead, think of it as, if I do stream, that means I'm okay. If not, that means I like to have a couple more days to let this heal up first. And then the 21st, I will be back to streaming on my normal schedule. That being said, because of that being the 1 week before Kingdom Hearts 3, the next following week, which is the 29th, is when Kingdom Hearts 3 gets released. Now, if you don't know, I also made 100% confirmation saying that I will not be streaming Kingdom Hearts 3. In other words, the Kingdom Hearts 3 videos are going to be more or less a month after its original release, but I will be playing them on the day that it comes out, but I will be releasing videos of it about a month after its original release. In other words, probably March 30th, no, not March 31st, that's 2 months away. March 1st is probably whenever I'll start uploading videos in regards to Kingdom Hearts 3, and I figured a month would be long enough for people to be okay with spoilers and stuff, and they would be okay to watch videos of it and everything like that. That is my main plan, is to play Kingdom Hearts 3 by myself, do a video reaction in regards to Kingdom Hearts 3, and then just do a whole video series of me playing the game and everything like that, and you guys watching it and enjoying it at its fullest. So be sure to watch out for that when March comes around, because the first week or two I will be playing through Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, I say the first 2 to 3 weeks because here's what we're going to do. In regards to streaming once Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, there may be a case where I won't be streaming as much due to Kingdom Hearts 3, and I think people out there will be alright with that, because I think everybody is just as hyped as I am when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 3, so bear in mind there will probably be a slowdown in terms of streaming for that particular moment, because for the first 2 weeks, Kingdom Hearts 3 will be on my mind, and I will want to play it at its fullest. Now, the thing is, I don't know if I'm going to be completing it during that time. If nothing else, during my first playthrough, I'll probably play through it on Proud Mode, just to see how hard it's going to get. I imagine I'm going to regret it, but to an extent, I'm going to attempt it to see how much enjoyment I can get out of it. I may just go ahead and play it on normal mode. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. But yeah, it's just on the 29th, I will be having my hands on Kingdom Hearts 3, and I will be playing it. So probably from the 29th to probably until February the 5th or something like that. I don't know. There probably won't be a stream going up anytime soon, which means there'll also be a slowdown on videos because of Kingdom Hearts 3 being preoccupied on my mind. So yeah, don't worry if there isn't any videos being uploaded. It's just that because of the fact that I'm playing through Kingdom Hearts 3, it means that well, like I said, it just means that I'm currently playing through Kingdom Hearts 3 and I'm doing nothing else entirely. So, but let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in stream-wise. First and foremost, we're almost done with Final Fantasy IX, and I imagine, depending on how we do things, because technically we're at a point where I'm going to be fighting against the super secret boss known as Ozma. Now, Ozma has the final Eidolon summon that I need, but there is, however, an interesting case, and that's the fact that technically this is considered to be the hardest boss in Final Fantasy IX. Not only that, but for most people, this is classified as one of the top hardest boss in Final Fantasy history, being next to the line of like Omega Weapon or even that of Ruby and Emerald weapons. So that says something. That says a lot. So that kind of gets me wondering, is it going to be that hard? I imagine it will be that hard, so we'll just have to go in it with open arms and see what happens. You know, we'll see if it kicks my ass just as bad as what I think it's going to do. It all depends. I'm kind of scared, but not as much scared, so we'll just see what happens. We'll also see how long it takes for me to get done with the final part of Final Fantasy IX. Keep in mind, in most Final Fantasy games, the final part usually takes me a little bit longer than an hour and a half. So depending on how things go, depends on if there'll be like an extra 5 or 6 parts in Final Fantasy IX's case. I imagine there will be. I imagine there will be more Final Fantasy IX after we get through with Ozma. I imagine, if nothing else, we'll probably have at least up to 25, if not 26 parts for Final Fantasy IX. So, with that being said, that means that after Final Fantasy IX, we'll be jumping into Final Fantasy X. And I'm trying to figure out how the scheduling is going to be for Final Fantasy X. Because keep in mind, Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be coming out, which means there'll be a slowdown in terms of streaming for Final Fantasy X. And that also being the case, that also means that Final Fantasy X will be jumping into the line of where voice acting has been added on into the series. Which, number one, that's very nice to know, because technically I don't have to worry about voice acting for different characters, which isn't a problem for me, but it is kind of something that does get a little bit of annoying. I get too involved with the game where I'm voice acting the characters and stuff like that, and I lose track of like stream itself. And I try to pay attention to the stream, and I pay attention to the game, I pay attention to the characters' lines and stuff like that, and it kind of goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Where in this case, I can just concentrate on the game aspect and then keep an eye on stream at the same time. So it's not going to be as time consuming, and I won't be as tongue twist as I usually am. So hopefully that'll be a nice relief for me as well. But that also being the case, I know for some people they're probably wondering, in terms of completion towards Final Fantasy X, what all am I going to do? Well, much like with Final Fantasy IX, I'm mostly going to be concentrating on the summons themselves, the Aeons for Final Fantasy X. We won't be tackling on the monster capture quest line. We're not going to worry about the secret weapons particularly, because technically, I think for most people they'll agree with me when I say this, technically you can make a better weapon than what you would normally make when it comes to Final Fantasy X weapons custom creation. Because technically you can find weapons that have no abilities on them, but you can customize them to have whatever abilities you want. For example, you can have counterattack, you can have overpowered, you can have the ability to have their drive forms charge quicker, you can have like different abilities that does numerous better benefits, mind you, better benefits that will help overcome challenges that would come out later on. And keep in mind, in terms of secret summons, there's only like 3 of them in Final Fantasy X. I say 3 because technically one of them you do find on your way towards the end of the game. The other 2 are actually secret summons, and in order to do those, you have to do certain things in order to acquire them. But we'll see what happens from then on out. We'll play it by ear, and we'll go from there. Also, too, there is a little bit of change of plans. I did not know about this, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of throw this in to let you guys know what's going to happen. Originally, Shadows Die Twice was actually going to be released in February. I'm sure some of you are already aware of this. I did not know this until like last week, but apparently that game got pushed back towards March 22nd. Which means March 22nd is when the game actually comes out, and in terms of February, the only game that's going to be coming out on that month is Devil May Cry 5, so there you go. Depending on when we beat Final Fantasy X, we will jump into Devil May Cry 5, play through that, and then depending on how things go in terms of Devil May Cry 5, I imagine, and this is just me thinking out loud, I imagine Final Fantasy, Devil May Cry 5 will probably have 20 chapters, I imagine. Depends on how they're doing it, depending on how they're pacing it, depending on how everything goes in between here and there. I really don't know how they're going to go through the game, because you have not only Dante and Nero, but you also have the fact that you got Lady and Trish, you've got whatever characters they're probably going to add in terms of the main game. So it's going to be interesting to see where this game goes in terms of gameplay and length. So we'll see what happens from there. That being the case, though, I imagine Devil May Cry won't be nearly as long as like Final Fantasy has been thus far, but we'll see what happens from there. So that being said, once we beat Devil May Cry 5, depending, we'll probably jump into Final Fantasy 12. And then afterwards, we'll jump into Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. and then we'll also jump into Final Fantasy 13 and then ultimately 15 from there. Now, of course, I know that that's just like probably all the way up to like May and depending to June, but there's also some other games that I'm wanting to play later on within the year, depending on certain releases. For example, keep in mind, we're still waiting on games like Biomutant, which is said to be released in summer of 2019. Who's to say if that's going to stay course or not? You also have the fact that you have Code Vein. Code Vein is set for 2019, but it has not been updated as to when in 2019. So depending on when it gets released in 2019 depends on that. We also have the fact that there are other potential games that could be coming out later on this year. For the most part, we will be kind of jumping back and forth between new and old games. For example, by the time we get done with Final Fantasy 15, depending on how I feel, we'll jump into a game that I want to play the most after that. There are a couple of games that I have plans that I want to play if any of the new games don't come out during that time period. There is Legends of Dragoon. I've been wanting to play that for years. I just never got around to start playing it. So there's that. You also have the fact that technically there is Ni no Kuni 1 and 2. I've been wanting to play those two games for quite some time. I just hadn't got around to start on them. So I'm hoping to play one of those two later on. And then, of course, there's also the fact that you've got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I've been wanting to play that for a long time. And for those of you that are going to be asking the question, I'm going to be playing the Wii U version. Unless I get enough money built up to where I can purchase a Switch of my own. Because, well, let's face it, Delmar's going to be on the Switch all the time. At this point, he will be on it all the time. Because of how this year's going to be. So, with that being said, we'll see how that goes. I'm trying to think if there are any other games that I was wanting to play for 2019. Let me quickly open this up just to see if I'm not missing a game that I'm forgetting. That's not it. Here we go. Okay. Nope, that was it. That was basically all the games that I actually have planned that I want to play for 2019, depending on releases and depending on what games I feel like wanting to play the most. So, like I said, after Final Fantasy 15, if for some reason Biomutant or Code Vein is not released by that point, I will be jumping into another particular older game. For example, depending on how I feel, I may want to play Legends of Dragoon, or I may want to play Ni no Kuni and Ni no Kuni 2. We'll see what happens on that end. There's a few things that I have planned, but we'll wait until those moments come into play. We're going to wait until we get to that point. And like I said, the next 2 weeks after this particular week, we will be going through a stage of where there'll be less streaming, and there'll be more of me playing through Kingdom Hearts 3, and those won't get released until March. So be patient on that end. As I want to be fair with everyone, I want them to be stress-free about my channel of me potentially spoiling Kingdom Hearts, and that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait until March before I release the first part of Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough, so you'll get to enjoy a little bit of it without being spoiled into it and everything like that. And plus, if nothing else, you'll have time to play Kingdom Hearts 3 of your own, so that's going to be interesting to see. So with that being said, that's kind of all that I have planned at the moment right now. Again, we'll go step by step to see what happens. But yeah, that's mostly the plan that I have. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you don't mind the kind of setup that I'm going for in terms of streaming schedules and stuff like that. If for some reason there is a game that you particularly want to see me play in future planning, let me know in the comments below, and I shall see you in the next video. Till then, this is BlackCross signing off. Take care, guys.